make me.
Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Today in this video, we will be looking at how to install Ubuntu on VirtualBox along with increasing the screen resolution. This was a much requested video and the main reason is because of the fact that Ubuntu is much preferred for those who are into software development. Now for this to work, we need two files basically. One of which is Oracle's VirtualBox, which is the virtualization software that we are going to use, and the one which I prefer the most to emulate any OS on a Windows 10 PC. Also, VirtualBox is available for Mac OS and Linux, so you can do these same with other operating systems too. To download VirtualBox, just Google the same and click the first link. And as you can see, we have the VirtualBox version 6.1 available for download. Just click here and then select your operating system, after which the download will get started. The file is around 100 MB, so let it get downloaded and wait for it to finish. In the meantime, let us take a look at how to download our Ubuntu operating system image, which we will be using to create the virtual machine on VirtualBox. This is Ubuntu's main page and you can get here by googling Ubuntu and then clicking on the first link. Now go to the download section and select Ubuntu Desktop from the drop down menu. Straight away you have the download option for the official Ubuntu 20.04 LTS version. Below that we have the Ubuntu 20.01 version. But guys, a word of advice, always go with the LTS version, which stands for long term support and has the longer support as the name suggests. As of now, Ubuntu 18.04 LTS is the best version that I prefer mostly because of the fact that it is much more stable and has wide support among all the software development domain. To download older versions, click the alternative download section which takes you to this page. Here, as you can scroll down the page, you will find the download link for Ubuntu 18.04 LTS and Bionic Beaver is the code name for the same. Click that link and then you will be taken to another page. Here select desktop image, which then starts to download the 64-bit AMD desktop image of Ubuntu 18.04 LTS. This one's a pretty big file at 2 GB, which is expected given it's an image of the entire Ubuntu operating system. I have already downloaded this file, so I will not continue this download. Links for both these files will be available in the description. Make sure you have all these files before we get started. And if you prefer Ubuntu 20.04 LTS version, you can download it straight away from the downloads page. Now as you can see, we have both the files which we downloaded earlier here. Let us first install VirtualBox, which is the virtualization software that we will be using. Like all Windows applications, the installation of VirtualBox is a very standard affair. Just give next in all the settings page and click install. The installation might take few minutes, so be patient and I will be back after it gets completed. And here we go, we have completed the installation of VirtualBox. We can now start to create a virtual machine. Open VirtualBox and this is how the starting page of VirtualBox looks like. Click new on the options panel available at the top. Now give a name for your virtual machine, which will be Ubuntu 18.04 LTS in this case. Then change the location of the virtual machine if you want to. And I am doing it as I have allocated an entire local disk for my usage. The type of your virtual machine will be automatically detected when you type in the name. If not detected properly, feel free to enter the drop down menu and change it for yourself. Then finally we have the version, which is obviously Ubuntu 64-bit in this scenario. Click next and here on this page you will be asked to select the memory size for your virtual machine. Now be careful with what you choose here, as RAM is needed for both your host system and virtual machine. As you can see, I have 8 gigs of RAM available, of which I am going to allocate 4 gigs to my Ubuntu virtual machine. Maxing it out at 8 gigs might cause problems to your host operating system. But if you really need more RAM, 6 gigs must be a good option given that's where the green line is there. But Ubuntu will run just fine even with 4 gigs of RAM. Next up in the hard disk page, select create a virtual hard disk now and then click create. You will then be asked to choose the hard disk file type and here leave it as default, which is VirtualBox disk image, and then click next. Then next on this page, select dynamically allocated for the storage on the physical hard disk. And here you will be also asked to select the location and size for the virtual disk file. We have already selected the location when creating the hard disk. So I will just allocate the size for the virtual hard disk, which is around 60 GB for my usage. Then click create and your virtual machine will get created, and you can see it in the left side on the VirtualBox main page. Do not start the virtual machine yet, as there are some other optimizations to be made in the virtual machine settings. Click on the settings icon in the top right panel. In the general settings under the advanced tab, make sure you change it to bidirectional in both the shared clipboard and drag and drop drop down menu. This gives you the option to drag and drop files directly from your virtual machine to the host device. Then get to the system settings and you don't have to change much in here. I will just deselect the floppy option in the boot order because who uses floppy anymore? Next up, in the processor tab, you can allocate the number of cores for your virtual machine. Here, as you can see, I have a total of 4 cores, of which I am going to allocate 2 cores to the Ubuntu virtual machine. Do not allocate all the 4 cores to your virtual machine, which might throttle the host operating system. Next up, in the display settings, bump up the video memory all the way up to maximum, which is 128 megabytes, and also enable 3D acceleration. Finally, in the storage settings, we come to the most important part of this optimization, which is to load your Ubuntu operating system image file. To do that, click the empty option and then on the right side, click the small disk icon in the optical drive drop-down menu. Here, select the choose a disk file option and then locate the Ubuntu disk image that you downloaded earlier in the start of the video. Click open and this loads your Ubuntu operating system to your virtual machine. And now finally click OK, and this sums up the settings optimizations for your virtual machine. Let us start our virtual machine by clicking on the start option on the top right panel. Now let me put this earlier, the first installation will take a long time because of the first boot up sequence and optimization. After this, the boot up is quite snappy as usual. Here when you get this select startup disk pop-up, just click on the start option. I will be fast forwarding this whole setup guys, except for the Ubuntu install page. Click install Ubuntu here and select your preferred keyboard layout. Then in the updates and other software page, click on normal installation and make sure to check the install third-party software checkbox. Next on the installation type page, select erase disk and install Ubuntu. Don't worry guys, this will not erase anything on your PC. So continue by clicking install now and finally give continue in the next pop-up. The next couple of pages just give the user information along with the preferred password. This step takes most of the time, just leave it as it is to complete the installation. To save our precious time, I will be skipping to the end of this installation process. After the installation is done, you will get this pop-up telling you to restart your virtual machine. Just give restart now, and when asked to remove the installation medium, then press enter. Just give enter and the virtual machine will start to reboot. After booting into the system, give your login credentials to log into your virtual machine. There you go, you have successfully created your Ubuntu virtual machine on VirtualBox. Everything works fine like the keyboard, mouse, network and even the terminal, the most important terminal. Now if you can see, even when I enter into the full screen mode, the OS by itself has a windowed appearance which is very small and makes it very difficult to use. To make it a proper full screen, we have to increase the resolution in the display settings of Ubuntu. As you can see, I have already increased my resolution here. Now there is no universal resolution fix for this guys. So depending on your PC and its resolution, you will have to tinker around with the display settings to get the perfect one for your system. It is 1280x960, which is the best possible resolution for my PC. That's it guys, we are all done. Thank you for watching the video. Give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends who may find this useful. Until then, stay subscribed to the channel and meet you all in my next video.